You alluded to nuclear, and SaskPower's current timeline says a final decision will be made in 2029. Are you committing now that we are going nuclear one way or another?
I don't think we'd commit today going one way or the other. Most certainly it's about, I'm not aware of another option that can provide us that 80% baseload power over time. That you had alluded to in a previous question that we ultimately will require. There might be some technologies that come on that chip away at the edges, maybe some access to affordable battery power to coincide with some renewables. But I'm not aware of another technology that we have access to in Saskatchewan that ultimately could provide that 80% baseload power to ensure affordable power, to ensure that our homes in northern Saskatchewan are still heated with electrical heat and they can afford the power bills that are coming at the end of the month. Affordable power to ensure that the industries, the potash mining industry, the uranium mining industry, the forestry industry, the coming rare earth industry, our agriculture industry can ultimately afford the electricity that they require to continue to conduct business here and ultimately continue to employ people in community after community. And so at this point, and I don't know, Rupin or Don, if you have another comment on other sources, but we have the hydro resources that we have are being utilized. We have the fossil fuels that we're utilizing today. Nuclear most certainly is one of the very strong considerations as we move ahead. And I'm not aware of another power source that we could be looking at, unless you've found one, Don.
In my 1,000 questions, I haven't found one, but in any event, we have asked SaskPower to look at every possible combination or every possible thing that's coming up. We've asked them to look at hydro. Well, hydro, we may be able to improve the efficiency, but we're talking in single percentage points. But nuclear has worked well, effectively, safely, reliably, and affordably in other provinces for 60 years. So it's certainly an option that can and should be considered. It's expensive to add to our current mix. But the timelines that are outlined in the regulatory process, there's been no willingness on the part of the federal government to bridge or change those. So the timeline to make that decision is 2029. And what I would ask people to do is wait and see what that happens. If they've got comments they want to make on it, would welcome them.
In the meantime, I think what we're saying as well is we're willing to work with the federal government, and we're going to have to utilize fossil fuels for the foreseeable future. On a second note on the nuclear conversation is all Canadian uranium comes from this province. Comes from the northern areas of this province, employing between 45 and 50% northern and indigenous folks. Some of the most sustainable fuel that you can find to create electricity, and most certainly some of the most ethically produced fuel that you can find. And I've talked to a number of folks this week as we have discussions on some of the challenges that we have with forest fires in the northern parts of our province as to how we work through that immediate challenge, but the importance of supporting the uranium industry in Saskatchewan moving forward, not only to our benefit, but I would say to the benefit of all of our allies and trading partners around the world.